It's a great day to be in real estate. This is Duanebeisner, sales manager and sales representative for ERA once again. Hope you had a great Memorial Day. For my quote of the day, you need to find something to hold on to, something to motivate you, something to inspire you, by Tony Dorsett, who is a football player. And for the joke of the day, there was a painter by the name of Jock, who was very interested in making a penny where he could, so often he would thin his paint to make it go further. As it happened, he got away with this for some time, but eventually the church decided to do a big restoration job that involved the painting of one of its biggest churches. Jock put in a bid, and because of his price being so low, he got the job. He went about erecting the trestles and setting up the planks and buying the paint and, yes, thinning it down with turpentine. Jock was up on the scaffolding, painting away with the job nearly completed when suddenly there was a horrendous clap of thunder and the sky opened. The torrential rain washed the thin paint off of the church and knocked Jock off of the scaffold and onto the lawn, among the gravestones, surrounded by telltale puddles of the thinned and useless paint. Jock was no fool. He knew this was a judgment from the Almighty, so he got on his knees and he cried, "Oh God, forgive me, what should I do?" And from the thunder a mighty voice spoke, "Repaint, repaint, and thin no more." So, for my tip of the day, instead of spending your money on worldly possessions, spend your money on helping people create happy experiences and lasting memories. Think about that. For my social commentary today, real briefly, before I get into the next thing, I went and saw Iron Man 2 over the weekend. If you haven't seen it yet, you definitely should. It's incredible. But make sure you do stay till after the credits because there's a short video afterward. You know, I've noticed that a lot of movies are starting to do this now, which is actually a good thing because it gets the audience to sit tight and actually watch the acknowledgments of all those people in the credits who worked so hard on the movie. So, I was thinking, with all the messages coming at the average consumer on a daily basis, how do marketers get through? Good question. However, I did see an interesting article on ad expenditures for the first quarter of this year, 2010. U.S. ad spending saw some significant increases in the first quarter, probably a good sign. Basically, the Vice President of Cantor Media said it's an encouraging signal for the market going forward. Overall ad expenditures rose 5.1% in the first quarter, from a year ago to $31.3 billion. Of the 19 media types tracked by Cantor, 13 experiences increases in the first quarter. For instance, TV overall gained 10.5%, which is not too bad. And network TV actually jumped 11.6%, mostly due to a boost from the Winter Olympics. Cable TV was up over 8%. Spanish language TV was up over 7% on its expenditures. Radio, too, was up 7.4% overall. Print media lagged behind the overall ad market. Magazines were down 3.2% and newspapers slipped 3.7%. Oh well. For the internet, display ads only, it gained only 5%, which is pretty surprising. Anyway, for Duane's real estate news, today I saw an interesting article from the New York Times that was on Yahoo. For two people, Alex Pemberton and Susan Robotas, the people they were talking about, foreclosures becoming a way of life. Something they did not want but are in no hurry to get out of. Might be surprising. Foreclosure has allowed them to stabilize the family business. Go to Outback occasionally for a steak, take their gas-guzzling airboat out for the weekend, visit the Hard Rock Casino. Quote, "Instead of the house dragging us down, it's become a life raft," said Mr. Pemberton, who stopped paying the mortgage on their home here last summer. "It's really been a blessing. A growing number of people whose homes are in foreclosure are refusing to slink away in shame. They are fashioning a sort of homemade mortgage modification, one that brings their payments all the way down to zero. They use the money that they save to get back on their feet or to just get by. This type of modification does not beg for a lender's permission but is delivered as an ultimatum. Force me out if you can." Any moral qualms are overshadowed by a conviction that the banks created the crisis by snookering homeowners with loans that got them in over their heads. Quote, "I need to explain my situation to the lender, but they wouldn't help," said Mr. Pemberton's mother, Wendy Pemberton, herself in foreclosure on a small house a few blocks away from her son's. She stopped paying her mortgage 2 years ago after a bout with lung cancer. She said, They're all crooks. Wow, can you believe that? Foreclosure procedures have been initiated against 1.7 million of the nation's households. The pace of resolving these problem loans is slow and getting slower because of legal challenges, foreclosure memorandums, government pressure to offer modifications, and the inability of the lenders to cope with so many souring mortgages. The average homeowner in foreclosure has been delinquent for 438 days before actually being evicted. That's up from 251 days in January of 2008, according to LPS Applied Analytics. While there are no firm figures on how many households are following this new path of passive resistance, real estate agents and other experts say the number of overextended borrowers taking the free rent approach is on the rise. There is no question, though, that for some homeowners in default, foreclosure is only a theoretical threat for a long time. More than 650,000 households have not paid in 18 months, LPS calculated earlier this year. With 19% of those homes, the lender had not even begun to take action to repossess the property. Double the rate of a year ago. Wow. In Florida, the average property spends 518 days in foreclosure, second only to New York's 561 days. Defense attorneys stress that they can keep this number high. Many of those in foreclosures are actually hiring lawyers to help them. Even if you have no defense, one attorney has a form letter that he sends out to those homeowners in foreclosure that basically says you may be able to keep living in your home for weeks, months, or even years without paying your mortgage. This attorney signs up about 10 new clients a week. He now has 350 clients in foreclosure, each whom pay $1,500 a year for a maximum of 6 hours of his time. Do the math on that. I'll just do as much as needs to be done in order to force the bank to prove its case. And so the mess continues. Anyway, this is Duane signing off. Happy trails to you. As always, proud to be American. Make sure you look at my website, www.rejedi.com. Thanks for watching and have a successful day.